everybody, welcome back. I'm Cindy and I garden in Manitoba, Canada. I've had a few people ask me some questions, so I thought I'd go over a few things. One of the questions, kind of a hard one to answer, is how did I plan my gardens? I did not plan my gardens, they just kind of happened. So from what you can see here, the edge is wavy. We actually laid out a garden hose and then come up onto our deck and had a look at it for a couple of days and adjusted it as we went. So that's pretty much how we got the shapes of the edges of those gardens. They turned out pretty good. And actually every time I redo an edge, I might make it a little bit different or adjust it slightly. Maybe take a little bit more lawn. Anyway, that's how I decided on these. The other flower bed over there was actually just done out of convenience for the lawnmower. This way, a person doesn't need to take out the little pushy lawnmower and everything can be done with the riding lawnmower. So that's how the edges of these flower beds were determined. And the other ones in the other parts of the yard also, same thing. So mostly everything can be done with the big riding lawnmower. I get asked a lot on how I dug up my flower beds. If I used cardboard or if I used newspaper or landscape fabric. I have to say, landscape fabric does not work here. We live amongst a whole bunch of farmers' fields. You can lay down landscape fabric and probably by the end of the second year you're cursing it because you can't rip out certain weeds. There's so much dirt settled into the top, doesn't matter if you put crushed rock or if you put mulch, the amount of dirt that settles in, you've got a whole new layer of weeds to tend to. So after ripping out some landscape fabric, it took me 3 years to get it out because also trees like our native chokecherry trees and black poplar, I guess could be referred to as our cottonwood trees, they come up wherever they want. They come through that fabric and then they're impossible to get out. I also have a battle with Virginia creeper and goutweed, Bishop's goutweed, another one. Those roots travel underneath the landscape fabric, and if you've got a hole cut for a perennial or a shrub, they come up in those holes and you can never get the roots out because they travel so well underneath the landscape fabric. Also found it to be a bit of a haven for ants. And I'm near the end of battling the anthills, but they've managed to kill out, I think I had lilac trees and the ants were just terrible underneath the landscape fabric. I have little bits and pieces of it where say Virginia creeper is still hiding, but for the most part I've gotten it all ripped out and it's far easier to take care of my garden beds. Just like that, I've laid mulch in a lot of them, and that is the answer in this type of climate here in Manitoba. Some people still use it and still swear by it. I've had so many battles with it that I am going to say that I would not recommend using it, not around here. So another one of the questions that I had was about my favorite perennials that I have. I love hostas. And yes, I do have some favorites. Some favorites that are small, some favorites that are large, and some of them will have special stories. So I'm going to share some of that with you guys today. So one of my favorites, I love Rainbow's End. I believe it's Hosta of the Year. I don't remember what year though. So I love the way this little guy grows. It blooms late and he's got these nice red stems. Just love him. He's got little stripes. He's quite a tough little guy. I found that he is actually classified as a small hosta, but here I'm gonna say he is probably almost 2 feet wide, and with his blossoms, he's probably, I'm gonna say 26, 28 inches high. Without them, he's probably about a foot. I also love this heuchera. This is pumpkin pie. Very nice heuchera. It's also one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites, a big guy. This is T-Rex. Now normally T-Rex has great big leaves, probably about 18 inches across. This year the hail beat him up so badly that I actually trimmed back a lot of his leaves on the outside. So what you see there are a bunch of his other leaves that were on the inside, and they are on their way out, considerably smaller, of course. Our growing season, our daylight comes now. We're getting dark about 8:30 at night. So, and of course we woke up this morning to +5, which is about 41 degrees, I believe. A stark reminder of where I live and how fast we could get a frost, and that could be the end of everything green. And I know we'll probably get another month of decent weather, but I don't know about the growing season. Things slow down quite a bit right now. But anyway, here's T-Rex, one of my favorites. I remember when I moved him here, he was in a different spot completely, up on a hillside, and he wasn't getting the water that he needed. So I dug him up, but his root ball weighed about the same as a Buick. I ended up using, I used to do macrame in summer camp, and I made some knots, made a net, and between me and my husband, we wrestled him over here, half dragged him, half moved him, carried him, and put him in this spot, and he's been here ever since. On a good year, he probably reaches 5.5 feet across, easy. But this is not a good year. Like I said, the hail beat him up pretty good, so I think he's still reaching about 5 feet across, but his leaves definitely are not as big and not as pretty. He is feeling the season for sure. Now over here, another one that I'm kind of fond of is Island Breeze. It's also blooming late. He's got dark purple blossoms and nice red stems. Look at how red those are in there. He's a beautiful hosta. Another one that I'm kind of fond of, and I have it planted handy here. These ones are close to the deck so that I can see them from up on top of my deck, is Liberty. She shows off her stuff and her colors all year long. She can handle a lot of sun. I have to say both T-Rex and her see an enormous amount of sun. So if you're gardening and if you're in Canada, I think you can break a lot of rules when it comes to how much shade your hostas require. Because these guys, you know what? I think that they are probably 10 hours of sunshine, full hot sunshine. And as long as I keep them watered, they will continue on. You can see a little bit of sunburn on his leaves. They're starting to get a little bit yellow on the ends, but I've given him lots of water, so that prevents them from getting very dried out. Liberty seems to be a little bit tougher. I can see there's probably a little bit of damage maybe from water hitting the leaves. Most of this is hail damage. But yes, Liberty is one of my favorites. Love the color on Liberty. Here's another one of my favorites. This is stained glass. I can remember a few years ago, my mom, my sister, and myself all went to one of our local stores, and we each picked one of these guys up. She's got lots of bright color, and her flowers are fragrant. The hummingbirds do love her. Yes, her flowers are very nice and fragrant. There was one day I was here and I didn't realize where the smell was coming from, but it was very nice fragrance. Anyway, stained glass also doing fairly good. We can see a little bit of sun damage on her, but for the most part she's also in probably at least 10 hours of sunshine when we do get the middle of our summer. Right now, like I said, we're probably getting daylight, probably about 6:30 in the morning, and the sun's going down about 8:30, so our days are considerably shorter than what they used to be. Here's another one of my favorites. This is Forbidden Fruit. I've always liked her because she's bright and shows up from a distance. Same with Color Festival back there. also shows up. Very nice and bright. Good places for them when they're farther away. Also, rainforest sunrise. I like this one, but it's got cupped leaves. And close to the trees here, the cupped leaves tend to collect a lot of stuff. So sometimes they just simply need to be cleaned out a little bit. I wanted to show you guys this. These are the rocks I've collected. I do enjoy it. I like putting them together, and I love the effect that they have in my yard. So I made these hillside hosta beds. It took me a few years. They're not that old. This one's been established for probably 2.5 years, maybe 3. And this side over here, probably 1.5 to 2 years. So some of the plants were moved in even before the rocks were all completed. Makes for some strong hands. I do enjoy my rocks. I love to pick them, and most of the rocks come locally. Some people are very nice to share if they've got a few around. And here's a new guy I rather like. I love his shape. This is tortilla chip. Looking forward to seeing him get bigger. This is his, I guess I planted him just in the fall. So this is his first full year that he's been in coming up. I wanted to show this to you guys. This is one of the daylilies I started from seed. It does not have a name. So I'm enjoying this one very much. Very, very pretty. This is planted in the same clump. I'm guessing they were the same crosses, same seeds, but we're looking, it's slightly pinker than the other one. So it's nice to see the daylilies are still blooming. The echinacea still blooming, so it's always there if the bees still get hungry. It's September 3rd today, so I think we're pushing our luck every day that we have nice weather and that the pollinators can still come out. So here we have lupins. These guys are in their second bloom, doing fabulous. Also have some over there. So these guys are growing in a gravel ridge. They seem to do very well. I don't interfere. They come up wherever they please. I may weed out ones that have decided to come up in a bad spot. Nice to see the lupins. So I want to show you guys the plum tree this year has a lot of wonderful plums on it. I need to prune this poor guy. I never in my wildest dreams thought he would ever produce this many plums. He's doing very well. I hope that everything gets to ripen before the frost comes. And that's inevitable. It will come soon. So here we have the side flower bed. And there's a few stories on some of them here. Some in substance back there. Hail was hard on her. One of the first hostas that I ever got this one from my mom. And Frances Williams as well. Also one of the first hostas I ever got. Frances Williams loves this spot. It does get a fair bit of sun. We're probably looking at 6-8 hours in this corner. And Sub and Substance does okay. Normally it's in a little better condition. But anyway, the tougher leaves on Frances Williams, it has done a lot better. It has a few holes in it from hail, but that's about it. So here's a little glimpse of my Gnomeville, I call it. Again, I picked all these rocks. I enjoyed so much stacking them up. This had a purpose here though. This little ditch needed to be put in. It actually handles a fair bit of the water and runoff that comes from the street. Follows along this little brick ditch that we've made and comes and rounds the corner. It used to come and just overflow onto the lawn, and then it was hard for the lawn to recover. So I put in this nice little river and made it a nice little spot for the gnomes. This little gnome house, my dad cut the big tree stump many years ago, and it has taken me a few years. He made the angles for the roof, and I put a roof on it, and then at the last we decided to move it here. So for the last few years, it's been here. My husband cut out the doors and windows, and we put it up here. And this is what I call Gnomeville. And here's the lawnmower that we make the flower beds for. Does a wonderful job on the lawn. So does my husband. That's my husband done. Another favorite of mine is curly fries. Now this guy's gotten massive for curly fries. He's not the cute little wavy leaves he once was. He's been in this spot for quite a few years, so I have another one that I'll show you that is quite a bit smaller. And this is my smaller curly fries. Much tidier, a lot smaller, and I imagine one day he'll get really big like the other one. But for now, this is a 2-year-old curly fries. Another favorite I have is this one, Silly String, just a little guy. He is blooming these wonderful dark purple flowers. And he's got the cutest little wavy leaves. One of my favorites. So here's another one of my favorites. This is Golden Meadows. I am looking forward to this guy getting mature. He's got these little wavy edges around his leaves. Just starting to get them. So when he gets bigger, I'm assuming next year he should start to show his wavy edges quite a bit more. Another one of my favorites, one that I've had for quite a few years, is this one, Dancing Queen. So right now she's mostly green, but in the springtime she has the brightest yellow leaves you have ever seen. She puts on a really good show. And unfortunately over the summer she just gets more green, but that's okay. She's putting on a really good show for being pleated. So here's another one of my favorites, Snake Eyes. Really like this one. I've had it for quite a few years. I've moved it around from spot to spot, but I like how it's got a different color green in the middle and then a white edge. I really like this one. And I've got this one. This is Erotica. I think from the same line of hostas as Snake Eyes. I've got actually a few of them in that line, so hoping to increase my collection some, but this one is brand new and quite small yet, but still has that nice white edge around the center green on the leaf. Here's another Sum and Substance. So it's not from the same bunch of hostas. I actually purchased a different one and I put it out here at the end of my flower beds. So it's been here now 2.5 years. I want to show you. Leaves are doing really good. It's getting quite a bit bigger and I'm happy to see it's doing very well. I'm excited to see what it does next. Here's another one of my favorites, Gypsy Rose. I love the contrast and the plant shape. Love the contrast of the white and the green on the edge. Very nice looking hosta. And this one, I like this one because it's my namesake. This is Oh Cindy. Now, so far so good. The deer haven't eaten her, but the hail has taken its toll on her. Hopefully next year will be a better year and she'll show me how she looks. I mentioned in my other video, this is the hosta that started it all. This is Blue Jeans Bling. So I started looking around on websites and seeing this hosta in other people's gardens on videos. And I wanted one. So I looked at all our local garden centers, even contacted a friend who ran a local greenhouse, asked if she could order one. The answer, of course, was that she couldn't. She could get a lot of other ones, but ones that I had wanted, she couldn't get. And I thought, they've got to be available somewhere in Canada. So I hunted down a couple of really nice places, actually in Ontario, that I was able to go online and order. So this is the hosta that started this craze of my love for hostas. Once I got this one, I had to have more. Here's another one of my favorites. Can you guess why? This thing just glows every day, every evening, in the cloudy days and in the sunny days. There it is. This is Proven Winners Coast to Coast Hosta. It is awesome. It shows off its colors, and definitely one that I love. And if I can get my hands on a couple more, I will be. She shows up from a long distance away. Really looks good. Which brings me to this hosta. This is cool as a cucumber. For many years, this one sat in the background of the hosta bed. And again, every year it would show up and everybody would always say, what's the name of that hosta? It's showing a little bit of seasonal fatigue. The slugs love this one. And its leaves are a little bit more tender, so the hail took its toll on it as well. But another one of my favorites, cool as a cucumber. Here's another favorite. This is Hosta Wee. Definitely showing off some curly leaves, and it didn't take long. I think I only had this one planted here. Now this is the 3rd year. I think last year and even some of the year before, it was showing some of its wonderful curly leaves. This is another one of my favorites. I recommend getting this one anytime. Here's another favorite. This is Hosta Thunderbolt. I love the coloring and the structure of this plant. I had looked actually for a few years for this one. It was hard to come by. I'm not sure what it would be like now these days to try and get a hold of one. I've had this one planted now his 3 full years, and he's looking good. Excited to see what he looks like next year. For yellow hostas, this is another one of my favorites. This is Age of Gold. Age of Gold has hung on to its bright yellow color right through the summer, right into the fall. Here is one of my favorites that I've had for a very long time. This one never ceases to disappoint, or I should say it never disappoints. This is Atlantis. It's a fast grower. It's got lovely structure. It's gotten beat up a little bit by hail. The deer love it, unfortunately. This one I have split and moved. It can handle sun, it can handle shade, and it doesn't mind being split off. It is a good hosta. I recommend Atlantis any day of the week. Thank you guys for joining me on this walkabout. A few questions got answered, and I definitely have a few favorite hostas. I'm up to about 299 varieties, and I'm sure that I must have almost 400 hosta plants, but I have 299 varieties. So some of them are amazing. Some of them are just collections. Some I get just because they have cool names. Anyway, if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to leave a comment. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.